joined from Meetup. How you doing? Close this real quick.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Ooh, I see a message. Wait a second, let me respond to this. Are you gonna broadcast or what? Some call me Superman. Well, some people call you. You yourself call yourself Superman. Yes. Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Check, check. Hello, hello, hello. Fetty! Okay, let me refresh this page real quick so to get situated. Wait a second. Okay. So just the webcam, right? Not my monitor. Oh, the video's good now? Okay. Alright, let's get started. Hello everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Web Dev with Sonny. On Tuesday, we went over the very first lesson of Web Dev Path on Codecademy. We learned a couple of different things. We learned a bunch of elements and tags like the paragraph tag, the headings tag, the image tag, the video tag, an order list, which are essentially bullet points, and order lists, which essentially is a number system. Yeah, everybody's streaming right now. It's a perfect time to reset. Everybody got a lot of time. The whole world is on pause right now, so it's the perfect time to pick up something like coding. I also gave out a code challenge last week, on Tuesday, where the prompt was to take everything we learned in the last lesson and apply it to build a web page for your favorite band. So we have a winner here. I'm going to send out the link in the chat. Okay, so check this out. This is super cool. Oh, let me actually go here myself. Okay, so it's Fetty from New Jersey who made a webpage for Arctic Monkeys, the band Arctic Monkeys. So this is super cool. Used an image tag, used a bunch of 4 different headings, 2 paragraph tags, bullet points, and a video tag. I'm gonna DM you on Twitter after this to give you a promo code to get your Codecademy t-shirt. Cool. So today we're gonna continue on our web development path on Codecademy. So let me send out this link right here. This is the lesson that we're gonna go over. If you don't have a Codecademy account, please sign up. The Codecademy Pro is free right now for everybody, for anybody with an EDU or school email address. So please take advantage of that. I'm going to show you how to create your web page locally on VS Code using VS Code, the code editor, later on in the course, later on in the stream. But first, let's get started with this lesson. Okay. Cool. So now we learn how to use a bunch of different HTML elements. It's time to set up a real HTML file. So every HTML file requires something called a document type declaration. Okay? Looks like this. An angle bracket, left angle bracket, exclamation mark, doc type, and doc stands for document, type space HTML closing angle bracket. So every web page requires this. Codecademy recommends that the doc type, it's written in uppercase, but actually, most sites just simply does lowercase. So let's run it. Nothing should happen in the browser. Just to give you a little background information, the exclamation mark here is something a little bit new, right? It's a little bit different than other elements, HTML elements. But the exclamation mark actually is actually just a declaration syntax. I actually added a little hint this morning. So the exclamation mark is part of the construct for creating a markup declaration back in HTML4. In HTML5, it actually has no role or meaning other than triggering a standard mode in browsers. Okay, so this is slightly different than other elements that we've seen. But later on, we're going to learn something else called comments that also uses the exclamation mark to begin the element. Cool. Next, HTML tags. So this is also something that is in every single HTML file. Okay, we've seen the doc type HTML, but underneath it, we need to create another one called HTML. Okay, it just tells the browser this is where all the HTML code will be written. Opening tag, closing tag. And remember, the closing tag got an extra /. So anything in between the HTML opening tag and the closing tag will be interpreted as HTML code. So everything we've written in the previous lesson will actually go in between these tags. Okay, so I'm gonna run it. I see a question from Fetty. Are there any other tags that use exclamation mark besides comments and HTML decoration? I think so. Let me see. They're on my HTML other tags that uses exclamation mark HTML. The only two I've seen are these two. Yeah, I think just these two. All right, learn something new. Ooh, the important tag is slightly different though, right? That's almost, does that even count as an element? Because that means overwriting something. What does, let me search this. What does the exclamation mark mean in the important? Here, let me actually do this on this browser so you can all see. Sorry, it's okay. This is a rabbit hole that we do want to go down on because it's nice to learn these little tricks. Can you all see the screen? Okay, I'm on Stack Overflow right now. Programmer's best friend. So, okay. So here it means a delimiter token. So not quite the same. Or it just means important. Interesting. It's actually not a tag, it's a keyword. Usually in other programming languages, the exclamation mark actually negates whatever the expression that comes after. But here, HTML is not really considered a programming language, it's a markup language. So exclamation mark is used in two different ways. In doc type and comments, which is like a decoration syntax, and then also for something like important, which is like a CSS keyword that overrides whatever attribute for that specific element. But we don't have to know about important until later on. Cool? Yeah, keep asking these questions. These are good questions. I'm learning too here, by the way. So, cool. Next exercise. So we learned two things. We learned about the doc type and the HTML element. Now I'm going to learn something that's called the head element, right? Everything we've written in the last lesson actually went inside a body element, right? We built this from the last lesson, this brown bear webpage. But now we're going to learn something called the head element. So the head element contains all the metadata for a webpage. So metadata is information about a web page that isn't displayed directly on the web page, whereas the body element includes everything that is displayed, that is rendered on the web page. Okay, so it looks just like every other element. opening tag, closing tag. So we're going to place an opening head element tag right here and a closing one right here. I'm going to leave it blank for now. And let's put some stuff inside. So the first thing that goes in here is something called page title. A browser's tab, so right here, these are tabs, right? Inside a browser window, there are multiple tabs. Displays the title specified in the title tag. So the title tag is always goes inside the head element. So you can see there is a child element that's called title with the content My Coding Journal inside the head element. Cool. So let's add brown bears as the title of your web page by using the title element. So let's do this. Title, make sure it's indented with 2 spaces. Title, brown bears. Hit run. Cool. So where does the title appear? Once again, it appears in the tab, in the browser tab. Cool little image, like it. Cool. So now, how do we link to other web pages from this web page? Well, the most powerful aspects of HTML and the internet is the ability to link to other web pages. So you can add links to a web page by adding an anchor element with the letter A. Okay, looks very similar. An anchor element. But wait, there's more to this. We need to include a URL or a path to the web page that we want to link to. So this is where href attribute comes in. And this attribute stands for hyperlink reference. It is used to specify which web page that you want to link to. Okay, so it looks kind of complicated right here, but it's actually just 2 little parts. The A, right, which stands for anchor, the anchor element. An href attribute, remember there's an equal signs after the attribute and the value that comes after. And the values wrapped in double quotes is just the URL or the file path of the web page that we want to link to. And here, this is where the link will go, the link text will go. Okay? So here it'll create a link that's called "This is a link to Wikipedia," and when users click on it, it'll take you to that Wikipedia page. So after the first paragraph, right above the heading that says species, right here, add a link that says learn more. Do not add the URL just yet. So we're going to do an anchor tag. I'm going to type in the content learn more. Hit run, and boom, it should turn green. And let's add the href attribute. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do the Command C short key. Hit run. And now there is a link that appears. Cool. If you click on it, it takes you to another web page. Very cool. Okay, but a lot of the times we actually don't want the page to link out in the same window, right? A lot of times we want users to click on a link and it takes you to another tab or another window. So we're going to learn how to do that right here. There's something called the target attribute that specifies how a link should open. Okay, and this is very useful. Suppose we do target equals and the value of underscore blank. That makes the link open itself in a new tab, new window. Cool. And I'm going to show you how to do so in the link that says learn more. Where are you? Okay. I'm going to do target equals blank. Oh, actually I already completed this. But first let me show you what self does. So this is a default, right? When we hit run, we hit learn more, it takes you to another web page. So now the user have to go back to the original web page by clicking the back button. And suppose we do the target now, underscore target, hit run, and now when a user click on the link, it'll take you to a completely new window. Okay. So this way, the user can still have the original web page there, so they can navigate pretty easily. Okay. Oh, whoops, instead of target, let's do blank. Mess that up. Cool. Yeah, there are a couple of other targets. So there's underscore blank that opens a new window, underscore self, that's the default, and that opens the link in the window itself, right? There's something called parent that opens the link in the parent window. Let me send out a link real quick to see if they're target attribute HTML. Send this out in chat. Oh, and there's a fourth one, top. And this is displayed in the full body of the window. I'm not sure what that means. Let's see. Let's try this out. Top. Hit run. Slightly different, because now it's opening the window in the same. That's interesting. Because when we did the self, it actually opens the window in this browser, in the emulator, Codecami's like emulator. But when we did the top, it actually opened the window in the browser itself. Here, let me send out this link. Very cool. Okay. Exercise 8. Linking to a relative page. So we learned how to link to external web pages. Many pages also link to internal web pages like home, about, and contact, right? If you have a personal portfolio page, website. And a file navigation here will look something similar to this. There is an HTML file called about.html. There is another file called contact.html. There's something called index.html. Okay. Three different HTML files in the same window. Okay. And here, the href value is actually a little bit different. It's actually not the whole URL path, like www.https, www.sonnyali.co/contact.html. This is something called a relative path. And it uses a dot and a / and the file name. Okay. So this way you can link out to another HTML file or another file that is in the same folder of the file of the web page that you have right now. Okay. On the Codecami learning environment, there is a little folder icon right here. And this is where you can find the file navigation system. So there are two different files, aboutme.html and index.html, and you can toggle between these, right? Very neat. Slightly different, okay? So directly below the opening body tag, add an anchor that links to index.html with a relative path. The links should say brown bear. So underneath the body tag, add an anchor tag that links to HTML. Ooh, actually we should be in here right now. Where are you, body? Okay, let's do A. Did this exercise already been completed? Huh. Maybe I already did this before, years ago. Index.html. That didn't work. Let's go in here. Directly below the body tag, add an anchor tag that links href. We're going to do a relative path that start with ./index.html. I'm going to call it brown bear. And close it. Cool. Oh, so it's right here. Oh, I guess this page just goes to itself. Okay. So under the link to index.html, add another anchor tag that links to the about me HTML using the relative path. So this link should say about me. So underneath here, /about me.html, and the content inside will say about me. We're gonna close it, hit run, and this should appear right here. So now when I click here, it'll take you to an about me webpage. Oh, this is crazy. So Michael Dolliner was actually my old manager when I first started Codecademy in 2017. Wow. Wasn't expecting to see the name. Shout out to Dolliner. He was freaking incredible, dude. Actually, let me read that real quick. What? Oh my, did he write that? Michael Dolliner. Hey, my name is Michael, and there's little I find more exciting than bears. I spend most of my young life traveling to the edges of Earth to take videos of these wonderful creatures. Family, country, bears. Oh my god, I need to text them after this. That's insane. That's part of Codecademy. Anyways, linking at will, the next exercise. Cool, everybody good so far? I can't see the chat. It's like on and off for me for some reason. Really annoying. Oh wow, we got 15 people in here. Cool, very nice. Linking at will. You probably visited websites where not all links were made up of text. Maybe the links you clicked on were images or some other form of content. Right? You're gonna see that a lot on pretty much every single site like Facebook, Instagram, and so on. So far, we've added links that were made of only text like the following. So here's the content, here's the link text, and it takes you to this web page and opens in a new window. So text-only links, however, will significantly decrease your flexibility as a web developer. So thankfully, HTML allows you to turn nearly any element into a link by wrapping that element within an anchor element. Okay, so this looks kind of ridiculous right now, but let's break it down a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So here we have the opening anchor element. So same thing, it takes you to this link, this URL, and it opens in a new window. And here's a closing anchor element, anchor tag. But inside now, there's something inside now, and that's an image, right? An image with a source attribute of this file right here, w.prickly_pear.closeup.jpg. And there's an alt attribute. Remember, alt, alternative text, is just for SEO purposes, for visually impaired users, to give a text, an image, or a video some text if the browser cannot find the file or it is not supported. Okay, so we are nesting an image inside the anchor tag. So let's try this out. It looks kind of crazy, but it's actually not. So in index.html file, transform the image on your page. So where is it? Oh, cool, right here. The brown bear selfie. Set the target attribute so that the link opens in a new window. Okay, so let's find that image. Where are you? Right here. Boom. Oh, okay, so let's do this. Let's create an anchor tag. A for anchor. Let's do what do you do? Source? Oh, href. Whoops. Href. And we're gonna copy and paste in this URL. Okay. I'm gonna close it. And then remember, to make it open in a new window, we add another attribute. Target equals double quotes underscore blank. Okay. And here's the image. And we're gonna, after it, we're gonna include a closing anchor tag. Very cool. And now when we click on this brown bear should take you to another web page. Very nice. Ooh, I just found a bug. I think. Oh no. This next button disappeared when you do this exercise. Here, let me write this down so I can fix this later. Ooh, yeah, this is getting a little... Huh. Alright, let me just minimize it then. Minimizing doesn't work. Let me just squeeze in right here. Oh no. What's happening? Huh. There is some sort of weird interaction. Here, let me hide my bookmarks and see if that fixes it. View. They're not working. Reset? Okay, so reset fixes it. So now the next button appears. Huh, some weird interaction. Cool. A lot of times when you have a really long web page, you don't have links that link to other parts of the web page itself. Okay? And how do we do that? Remember when we learned the attribute, the part in the last lesson? So we can actually use that. So here we have a paragraph element with the attribute called ID and the attribute value of top. And here's a H1 heading element with an ID attribute of value bottom. Okay. And suppose we don't have a list right here, brown bear about me, to be a bullet point, then we'll write an order list. Well, actually, in number system, an order list, OL stands for order list, with 2 list items. And this will be a link that links to the top attribute. And here, the bottom keyword, the bottom link will link out to this part. Okay? It's maybe a little confusing, but once I show you how to do it, it should be pretty self-explanatory. So under the H1 element that says the brown bear right here, we're going to include an unordered list. So unordered lists are bullet points. So OUL stands for unordered list. We're going to add 3 items. Let me just create the list real quick. Oops. Close it. Okay, so now we have an unordered list. So we're going to introduce these keywords: introduction, habitat, and media. Okay. Okay, where is the run button? Oh no, this exercise is, this lesson is kind of buggy. Okay, here it is. It's really bizarre. So under the brown bear, where are you again? Right here. I'm gonna paste it in. Oh no, do I have to write that again? UL. LI. Close it. LI. Close it. LI. Close it. Let me report this to our engineering team because very buggy. Cool. And now we have 3 bullet points, an unordered list, and we're going to add in these words: introduction, habitat, and media. Boom. Very nice. And now we're going to wrap each of the text in this list in an anchor element. Okay? And each anchor tag should link to the corresponding div element on the page. Remember, we kind of grouped different sections into different div elements. So let's do that. Let's add in an anchor element, a href attribute, and we're gonna add in, what does this one go to? Introduction should go into right here, introduction. Cool. We're gonna do the hashtag introduction. Okay, close it. And then we're gonna close it with an anchor bracket right here. Okay, looks kind of confusing, but here, let me actually move this to a new line so it's clearer. Very nice. Okay, so that's one list item. So let me hit run. Now when I click introduction, it should take you to this section. Cool. This one is not as useful because it's right there, but these should be. So let's add two more. Let me just copy this right here. The opening anchor bracket, anchor element. And this div's attribute is just called habitat. Okay, let me close it. Let me also put this on a new line so it's clear to see. Okay, and remember, this right here takes you to this section. Should take you to this section. So when I hit run, there's a new link when I click on it, and boom, it should take you to this part of the page. Let's do the last part, which is for media. Same thing, copy this, put this on a new line. Instead of habitat, I'm going to do media. Close it. Hit run. And now when I click media, it should take you to the very bottom of the page. Cool. I know it's a lot of information, but make sure to check out the cheat sheets right here. If you're new to Codecademy, this is something that I'm pretty proud of, that worked with a lot of different people on the team. Make sure to bookmark that page. Okay? White space. So the rest of this lesson will focus on some tools that developers use to make code easier to interpret. As the code in an HTML file grows, it becomes increasingly difficult to keep track of how elements are related. Programmers use two tools to visualize the relationship between elements: whitespace and indentation. So both tools take advantage of the fact that position of elements in a browser is independent, keyword independent, of the amount of whitespace or indentation in the index HTML file. For example, we have this page right here. Suppose I add some new lines right here, and I hit run, the page actually look exactly the same. Remember, we actually use the break tag, the break element, the BR element, to add new lines on this web page. Two break elements, and now there are two new lines. Okay? So the browser ignores whitespace in HTML files when it renders a web page. What makes this example below difficult to read? Oh, okay, I see. It just shows you why you should use indentation, which is two spaces, two tabs on your spacebar. It just makes it easier to read. Cool. Use whitespace to make the code more readable by putting each element on its own line. So we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do two spaces because body is a child of HTML. Whoops. Put this on a new line, and then we're gonna close it, put this body closing tag on its own line too. And sometimes if people really want to make it more readable, you can even do this, okay? But the output, the browser, should not look any different, but it's just readable for yourself and for other developers. Okay, so this is how I'll have it, like this. Maybe take this out. Cut. Grand Turkey, hello. How much HTML do I know? I actually don't know too much. I feel like I'm more yeah, so a lot of my interests. Also, shout out to Mike here. Mike is my Dota buddy. My interests are in program. Sorry, I should have probably said this in the beginning, but I've been programming for 10 years now, since 2009, so 11 years now. I'm interested in VR, mobile dev. I'm interested in hardware. I'm interested in a little bit machine learning. If the data set is actually like cool. Game dev, like mini games, Twitter bots, and things like that. So I don't do too much web dev. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this is that I get to learn, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript too, right? I learned HTML probably back in the day through MySpace, when I used to had to pimp out my old band, high school band's MySpace music page. But I do use HTML here and there a lot. Even in the last month, when I had to like debug our Codecami's newsletter, our newsletter person wanted me to take a look at the code. There were like a bunch of HTML tables in there I had to look through. Hardware, yeah. There is actually a Codecami hardware course called Learn Hardware Programming with CircuitPython, which uses Python, that you should definitely check out. Cool. Let me continue. We're almost done with the lesson before we jump to VS Code. Oh, we're very close. Indentation. So the second tool that web developers use is indentation. This makes the code a lot more readable, and you can do this two ways: space and tab. And this is an age-old competition between the two sides, the team space and team tab. I personally like to use spaces because different code editors, have a different standard for tabs. Some tabs might be 3 spaces, some tabs might be 4 spaces, and so on. So it's just nice to be consistent. A little bit more time, but so what? Your code looks neater. Cool. So this is how we should indent our code. The children, so the paragraph element and the div element should be indented inside the parent element, which is body. Okay? So let's do that. I think we already did that in the last exercise, but let's do it one more time. And here, oh, cool. And here the paragraph element is actually the grandchild of the body element. I messed up. One more. Nice. Cool. Comments. HTML files allow you to add comments to your code. So comments are section or text in your code that is ignored by the browser. It will not show up in the output. Okay? So comments can begin with this little syntax: left angle bracket, the more than symbol, exclamation mark, and 2 dashes. And it ends with 2 dashes and an angle bracket, closing angle bracket. Okay? So this is a whole comment right here. So why do we use comments? We use comments because they help you yourself and other people who are looking at your code to understand your code better. So you leave documentation, leave little messages, little reminders for yourself about what this piece of code actually does. So for example, if we have a paragraph that says, the following is a list of my favorite films, so you can have a little comment that says, favorite film section. Okay? And remember, any code inside, any text inside the comment will not be considered code. So suppose we have a paragraph tag inside, paragraph element inside. This will not be rendered on the browser. Okay, so add a comment to the index HTML file. So here I'm gonna add an index comment that says, I am a better Dota player than some Call me Superman. Even though he watches more than me. Hit next. Boom. We are done. Here's the review exercise. You should take a look. Got a little badge. Yay. Make sure to watch this little video on the bottom. Take a look at the cheat sheet. Cool. Any questions before we jump into show you how to use the VS Code? How to do everything locally now, because everything we've done so far uses code camming. How do you do this on your own personal computer? Take a 30-second little break. Ooh, Fetty, am I getting pwned? Oh, I got some questions. Okay. I'm just starting out and I like to know the best route to take. Is it whatever you're comfortable with? From JTech25. I would say if you're interested in web dev, like you want to build websites, then the perfect path is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And then you can learn different frameworks and libraries like React, or maybe even pick up other JavaScript frameworks to learn JavaScript in different lenses. I've been programming since 2013, 7 years. How quickly they pass. What kind of programmer are you, Sonny? From Just Vladi. I would say I feel like I'm interested in too many things to have one specific. I'm interested in web dev, mobile dev, hardware, like I said before, VR development. So I like to say I'm good at a lot of different things. But I'm still learning. How good of a Dota player are you anyway? Ooh, there are Dota players in the chat? What programming language are you? Cool. Yeah, I actually made an Instagram filter. You should check this out on Codecammy Instagram account, where it's like a, what's it called? It uses Spark AR, and it's like that trendy selfie video thing where you can figure choose a language for yourself by looking at your face. Cool. All right, let's get into the next session. We have one more part to go over, and that's VS Code. VS Code, which stands for Visual Studio Code, is a code editor developed by Microsoft. It includes support for debugging, embedded Git control, and some GitHub support. It has intelligent auto code completion. That's very useful. Color syntax highlighting, very nice. And it is voted to be the most popular code editor by Stack Overflow's developer survey in 2019. Okay, I'm gonna send out this link right now if you don't have it already. And just to note, VS Code, there's something called VS Code and there's something called Visual Studio. Okay, Visual Studio is also made by Microsoft, is more an IDE rather than a code editor. And IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. They bought GitHub with Atom, correct. So, yeah. I used Atom before for a couple of years and I switched over to VS Code. A lot of my coworkers suggested it. It's usually tough for me to switch to something like I'm not familiar with, but I've been using it for like 2 years now. And it's been pretty good. Cool. So make sure to download that. Doesn't matter whether you're on Linux, Mac OS, or Windows. The download link should work. Okay. And when you download it, it should look something like this. Opening it up. And you can create a new file in two different ways. You can click this little link right here, new file, or you can go into file and then go into new file. So I'm gonna click that. So now you have a blank web page, blank file, right? We're gonna copy everything we wrote so far in this course, paste it in, and I'm gonna save it. I just use the shortcut Command S. I'm gonna save it in the desktop folder, and you have to name it something.html. So I'm gonna call it index.html. Okay. Should appear right here in your desktop. And now, as you can see, because we give it a file extension, it recognizes that here it is an HTML file and the color syntax highlighting appears. And this is actually the Codecademy theme. Actually, let me send that out real quick. This is an open source color scheme made by one of the engineers from Codecademy, John Samp. Shout out to John Samp. He built the Codecademy Go app. So it's actually the same color scheme as the one in our learning environment. Okay, and to get that, you can just click here and go into extensions and type in Codecademy -syntax -theme. And I have it right here. And you can just click download, install, and then set color theme. Cool. Okay. And on the left-hand side, we have a couple different options. Here is just like a file navigation system. Here's where you can search something in your code base. A little Git or a little source control. We'll learn about GitHub maybe in 2 weeks, how to use it. A little debugger and extensions marketplace. And this is where you can also search for the syntax highlighting. I highly recommend you to pick a different color theme. A lot of people like the, what's it called? The material one, but you can download other stuff here. Cool. So here we have the file, save it, and now, whoops. And now when we open this file, the web page should appear. Cool, and here's a file path. I'm gonna make another one. Let's actually keep this file in a new folder. File, new folder. I'm gonna call this web dev path. Okay, puts in here. Let's create a new file. And I'm gonna go back to the web browser, copy the code from the about me HTML file into this file right here, save it, go into desktop, go into, let's go here. Where are you, web dev path? Right here, save, and then instead of calling it this right here, I'm gonna call it about me.html. Cool. And now when I click about, sorry, not this one, index.html, and when we click the link about me, it should take you to the other web page. One thing to note is that every single time you make a change in your code, you should save it, so Command S, and then refresh your web page. Okay, so suppose I go in here, let's say instead of saying about me, let's do about Michael Doliner. Save it, refresh it, and it should appear. Oh wait, it didn't work. Oh, whoops. That's the title tag. So now the tab title is about Michael Doliner. Let's make another change. Because I moved the folder itself, let's actually open the web dev path folder. Let it wait. So there's two files here. Suppose I change here to brown bears forever. Save it. Now when I go to this web page, actually this is the wrong link because I moved it to a new folder. So let me go into the web dev path folder, click on the index.html, and here you should see brown bears forevers in the title. Cool, so every single change that you make, you need to refresh the page. Cool. And that's how you use VS Code and build a web page locally. I think in about a couple weeks, when we have like a sleek website going using CSS, it being like a week or two, I'm going to show you how to deploy a website and how to host it. I think that could be a really cool assignment. All right. We're about to hit 1 hour. How's everybody feeling? Good? I see a question from In Real Life Fetty. The real question is, what theme for VS Code is the best? Seems like Dracula Official is everywhere. There are a couple, I've seen a couple of really nice themes. I think one of the biggest things you should figure out is, do you like a light background or a dark background? For the longest time, I used a white background because I came from Emacs, and now I use a dark background. And then what I really look for is when code is nested, how the color syntax highlighting look. There's actually a really cool one. It was like a disco, I forgot the name of it, a disco themed one that was like very retro, very vaporwave looking. Cool. All right, I'm gonna give out an assignment for next Tuesday. So let's go to the web dev path real quick. I'll send out this link in the chat. So we actually went through a lot of stuff in the last two streams. We went through the first lesson and the second lesson, right? So by next Tuesday, make sure to watch video 1, Introduction to Web Dev. Make sure to take the lesson 1. Make sure to take the quiz 1, sorry. Lesson 2, quiz 2, and this little project that's called Fashion Blog, okay? And next week, we're gonna go over HTML tables, okay? When you do web dev now in 2020, you actually don't see too many table elements a lot, but you'll be surprised how much you do see them and have to deal with them in the wild. Even as a curriculum developer at Codecademy, in the last month, I've dealt with them 3 different times. One was for the newsletter, had to like help my coworker debug her HTML tables. Another one was for the Dear Students, Teachers, and Parents blog on Discourse. We used an HTML table instead of the Markdown, just because it gives you more flexibility. And then there was another thing. It was like a Codecademy Android development article that helped find a little bug in. So you do see them a lot. Cool? If you have any questions, this is a perfect time to ask. I'm about to wrap up the stream for today, for this week. Also, can you see the 3D printer back in there? I just bought a 3D printer. It's super fun. Actually, let me just show you my 3D printer. Wait, what? Yeah, I'm gonna post this video on YouTube maybe later today or tomorrow. Thank you. I've never really streamed before, so this is the first time. Hopefully I'll get better at it as we go. I've just been kind of winging it. Does a 3D printer require programming knowledge? It does not. It's using something called Kira. Can you see me still? Oh wait. Here, let me just show you real quick. Can you still see the, this is using the laptop. So I'm printing face shields for people in my area. So here's one that I just printed yesterday. It's hospital approved. And this one, that's in process right now. I'm doing this in my kitchen. Did that work? Can you all see it? Did I just get called out on mic? Also, you follow Drasko. Drasko is a great streamer. I like Drasko. He has great music on his stream. I need to figure out how to do music here. That's what I need to figure out. And get a nice microphone, maybe. Cool. All right, everybody. Make sure to complete the stuff that I was talking about before. Complete everything before that lead up to HTML tables on the web dev path. But thank you so much for watching. This has been pretty fun. I've been, working from home, so losing my mind over here. So this has been pretty good for me to have something to look forward to. Yeah, follow me on Twitter if you have any code snippets, if you have any questions, and we can continue there. So thank you, everybody. Check back next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for episode number 3. Cool. See you, everybody. Be safe.